Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to today's performance of Peak Performance. This is a teaser version, just a condensed version of a 90-minute session that we do. This is just to give you a taste of what Peak Performance is. So, what is Peak Performance, right? I'm going to answer that question. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jack Marshall. I was an actor for 17 years on stage, TV, and film, and Peak Performance was a big part of how I prepared for auditions and integral to how I succeeded on stage, right? So 3 years ago, I went into the corporate world, put a suit and tie on, and went into sales, corporate sales. I had a $75,000 a month quota. I had to bang out 50 calls a day. My company's motto was do or die. So needless to say, Peak Performance was a big part of my success in the corporate world as well. Now, this is what I do. I'm a coach and a facilitator. I'm here with you guys. So, what is Peak Performance, right? Very simply put, Peak Performance is about taking your performance from good to great. It's about finding that space in between good and great, moving through it, getting into great, and then staying there. So, what I would like to ask you to think about is a time in your past when you feel you might have achieved peak performance. Something that's significant, memorable, an achievement, an accomplishment, something that stands out. So, give it a think, see what you can come up with. Hopefully you've got a million peak performances you're just running through your mind right now. You got one?
I've got one.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So a couple years ago, I had a presentation, I had a pitch to do for a really big piece of business in my company. It was actually the biggest pitch that we've had in our company's history.
Wow.
And me and some of my coworkers put together our own concepts, and I worked 20-hour days, 18-hour days for about 2 weeks, and I ended up winning that pitch.
Nice.
I ended up winning.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really
20-hour
exciting.
days, man. That's some long days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you, do you remember how it felt when you achieved that? Like, what were the emotions involved with that? Like the emotional charge?
Yeah. Well, exhausted but elated.
Elated.
I'd say,
Fantastic. Yeah. The reason that I bring this up, very important, there was a guy named Richard Swin, an Olympic coach. In 1906, he wrote a book called The 7 Steps to Peak Performance. And one of those steps, most important step, was to envision and visualize your past success so that you could recreate it in the future. So the ability to remember it and remember what it felt like helps you recreate future peak performance. Really important to remember it so you can get your mind up so that you can accomplish peak performance. So, what is peak performance? Let's take a look at the handouts that I gave you guys. You see on page 2, very simple graph, right? Very self-explanatory. This is a lot like life. The more time you spend doing something, the better at it you get, right? Spend time doing it, you figure it out, and you get pretty good at it. So think about the last time you started a project or started a new job. First 6 months on the job, maybe the first month or so on the project, you're trying to figure it out, you're slammed, you don't know what's going on, all these people, processes, new information coming at you, and then what happens? You get pretty good at it, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out. That's why they pay you to do what you do. So you get up to a plateau and then you kind of stay there. What we want to do is we want to go from the plateau up into peak, right? And really important thing to remember, sometimes the least likely candidate for peak performance can achieve it. So past success is not always indicative of future success. For example, you heard of Henry Ford, right? Did some things, pretty accomplished guy. Little fun fact, Henry Ford opened 5 businesses, failed at every single one of them, went bankrupt 5 times before he founded the Ford Motor Company. So next time you're up against some challenges or you're facing adversity, remember that sometimes the least likely candidate can achieve peak performance. So, what will it look like? I'm going to ask you guys to do a little exercise with me here. I'm going to ask you guys to pair up, and I want you to interview each other based on the questions on this handout. Okay? Now, it says which 2 people would you like to help reach peak. You can only do one if you want, and that one can be yourself. If you want it to be yourself, it can be yourself. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and then we're going to swap, and then you're going to have 2 minutes to interview the other person. Make sense?
Sure.
And what I want you to do, I want you to really pull the answers out. Like, I really want you to kind of get some juicy answers. Don't just, don't let them off the hook. Okay?
Okay.
You guys got it? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Get my clock out here.
You go first? Yes, Jimmy first.
And then we'll swap, and you'll have 2 minutes. So you guys ready? On your mark, get set, go.
So I'll ask you.
Okay.
So which person would you like to help? Do you want yourself or
Well,
someone
if
else?
it's two people, it would be me and my directing partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what skills do you and your partner need?
I would say better tools for selling ourselves, whatever that would be. I
Okay.
don't know how. Maybe more tools of getting more contacts. Yeah.
Okay. And what existing skills do you feel that you and your partner need to develop?
More creativity, but more than anything, more motivation to get going, to get the juices flowing.
Okay.
Because when you work for yourself, as you know, it's sometimes you're like, I should probably do some work for myself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you and your partner be doing when you guys are performing at your peak?
Directing commercials, writing the scripts, in production, pre-production, and then post as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And what would be the benefits?
Well, besides the financial benefits, work begets work. So
Mhm.
the more jobs we could do, the better they could be. Then, you
You
get
guys got 30 seconds left, and we're going to switch, okay?
the more work you would get,
Sure.
the more chance to be creative. And I feel like the more work you get, you don't have to motivate yourself as much because the work motivates you, right?
Yeah.
The jobs, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Keeps you going.
Should we switch it up?
You guys
then?
got 10 seconds
10
left,
seconds.
man.
And yeah, that's the I think in the world of creative, as you know,
Okay, that's actually time now.
the
Sorry.
motivated.
Sorry. I was just trying to give you a little more time to pull it out. All right, guys, you mind switching?
Switch it up.
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, which two people, or yourself, or one person, would you like to help reach peak performance?
So I'll say myself.
Okay. And what skills do you think you need in order to reach peak?
I think I need to work on focus and stamina within a project. At the beginning of a project, I'm really excited about things, and somewhere in the middle, I kind of lose steam and lose excitement about it, and I kind of slow down. So I think definitely those two things I want
Stamina.
to work on.
Okay. And what existing skills do you need to develop in order to reach peak?
I think communicating with clients, I think that I have a lot of strength in that, but it definitely could be improved. Definitely, really communicating very clearly what the scope of the project is going to be, and also, managing expectations with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, communicating with clients.
Okay. And
About 30
describe
seconds left, just to give you a heads up.
when these people, when you're performing at peak, how are you performing? Like, what are you doing when you're there?
I'm really focused. My excitement level is really high. I think I'm communicating very well with my client. Things are very clear on both ends.
And how does that benefit you?
Well, like you said, there's more business to be had with them. My clients are happy, therefore I'm happy, and I can work on bigger
Okay,
and
guys,
better
that's,
projects.
That's
Enjoy your job.
That's
4
it?
minutes is up. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what'd you think? Come up with some good ideas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was helpful.
Okay. You may like to share about what you.
I can
found?
share.
What did you pick yourself or someone else?
I picked myself and my artistic partner.
Okay. So, what skills What skills do you need?
I think both of us kind of agree that we need more help with motivation to
Motivation?
not
Okay.
necessarily to start the project, but to keep it up while it's going. You know?
Awesome. Okay. And what will it look like when you achieve peak performance?
We'll just be working like crazy, and the creative juices will be flowing.
It'll
And,
just be flowing, man.
yeah, we'll be in the zone.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So hopefully you guys all came up with some great ideas. The big takeaway from this is actually that the ability and the skill to imagine what could be, not what is, but what could be, is an integral part of peak performance. So let's have a look at the next page, plotting the journey. How do we put this into practice? What does this look like? So this graph, page 3, everybody's got it, was developed by a Hungarian psychologist named, ready for it? Csikszentmihalyi. Csikszentmihalyi developed this graph over a 30-year period. Now, this guy was a pioneer in a branch of psychology called positive psychology. So what positive psychology, says is it asks the question, why are we good at what we do? So what Csikszentmihalyi found was that people achieve peak performance at work, not so much in their leisure time. So when we just did the exercise, did you guys have any peak performances in your leisure time?
No.
Okay,
No.
great, because you're not really being challenged, right?
Right.
Netflix is fantastic. I love it. I just watched season 2 of Narcos. It's amazing, but it didn't challenge me, right? But we're challenged at work. And what this model says is that we reach peak performance when we're pushed to the edge of our capabilities. So, what is peak performance? Next page. Peak performance is achieved when the skills are high and the challenge is high, right? Same page I gave you guys, page 4, plotting the journey. So the challenge is high and the skills are high. So challenge is high, you're facing it, the skills are high, or it's very important, the belief in skills. So the belief could be because you actually have the skills, you have the support of your teammate, your partner, people at work, or you're just so cocky you think you can do it on your own anyway. You just believe you're the man or the woman. But that's enough to push you into peak. So we've all experienced peak performance, right? All right, but we've also experienced these other 3 quadrants as well, right? Anybody ever felt anxiety at work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's because the challenge is high, but the skills are low. That could be because it's a new job, new project. You don't have the skills developed yet, or you got a new team that they're not up to speed on it. So challenge is high, skills are low. Apathy occurs when the challenge is low and the skills are low, right? So you're doing menial labor, menial tasks, data entry, putting stuff into a CRM, whatever it is. Boredom is actually where most of us are most of the time. Hopefully not now, but most of the time at work, boredom is where we live. And that's because the challenge is low. The skills are high, but the challenge is low. We're not being pushed anymore. So we experience boredom, and that's really the quadrant we want to try to get out of and move into one of these other quadrants, peak performance. But boredom is where most of us stay most of the time. Any questions? Great. So what this model does is it gives you a great starting point to find out where you are and where you want to go, right? What it doesn't give you are the tips and the techniques necessary to get there. Sorry, that's in the 90-minute version of the session that we do. That's where you develop the tips and techniques to move from one quadrant to the other. So say you're in anxiety. How do I get out of there? Or how do I motivate or coach someone to move from anxiety into peak performance? That's developed in the 90-minute session. Today was just a starting point, just a teaser to kind of get you thinking and
Little taste.
give you a little taste to let you know what peak performance is and get you thinking in a different direction and kind of, outside the box. So, any questions?
No, it's
think
good.
so.
Hopefully you guys can take this home and kind of think about it and, figure out how to get into peak performance. I really appreciate you being here. My name is Jack Marshall. Thank you for being here for the teaser, Performance Peak Performance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.